Welcome to Rupert Reads. Today we are going to be having a special Christmas episode, special bridged version of Christmas Carol, read by myself. Marley was dead to begin with. There was no doubt whatever about that. The register of his burial was signed by the clergyman, the clerk, the undertaker, and the chief mourner. Scrooge signed it, and Scrooge's name was as good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was as dead as a doornail. Scrooge knew he was dead? Of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his sole executor, his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole residuary legatee, his sole friend and sole mourner. And even Scrooge was not so dreadfully cut up by this sad event, but that he was an excellent man of business on the very day of the funeral, and solemnized it with an undoubtable bargain. Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There it stood, years afterwards, above the warehouse door. Scrooge and Marley. The firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge Scrooge, and sometimes Marley. But he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Oh, but he was a tight-fisted hand at the grindstone, Scrooge. A squeezing, wrenching, grasping, scraping, clutching, covetous old sinner. Hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever struck out generous fire. Secret and self-contained and solitary as an oyster. The cold within him froze old features, nipped his pointed nose, shriveled his cheeks, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red. His thin lips blew, and spoke out shrewdly in his grated voice. A frosted rime was on his head, and on his eyebrows, and his wiry chin. He carried a low temperature about with him. He iced his office in dog days, and didn't thaw it 1 degree at Christmas. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry chill could chill him. No wind that blew was bitterer than he. No falling snow was more intent upon its purpose. No pelting rain less open to entry. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain and snow and hail and sleet could boast of the advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down handsomely, and Scrooge never did. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open, that he might keep his eye on his clerk, who was in a dismal little cell beyond, a sort of tank, was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. But he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room. And 6 makes 28 pounds, 4 what do you want in here? My fire is nearly out, sir, and I thought I would take a lump or two of coal, and... You think more of your personal comfort than you do of your business and my interest. The room, sir, is very cold, and I... Work, sir, work, and I'll warrant that'll keep you warm. If you persist in this wanton waste of coals, you and I will have to part. 4 shillings and 9 pence.
A Merry Christmas, Uncle! God save you!
Bah, humbug!
Christmas a humbug, Uncle? You don't mean that, I'm sure.
I do. Merry Christmas. What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? You are poor enough.
Oh, come then. What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be so morose? You're rich enough.
Bah, humbug.
Don't be cross, Uncle.
What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas! Out upon Merry Christmas! What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills without money? A time for finding yourself a year older, but not an hour richer? A time for balancing your books and having every item in 'em through a round dozens of months printed dead against you? If I could have my will, every idiot who goes about with Merry Christmas on his lips should be boiled with his own pudding and buried with a stake of holly through his heart. He should. Oh my, that was violent.
Uncle!
Nephew, keep Christmas in your own way, and let me keep it in mine.
Keep it? But you don't keep it.
Let me leave it alone, then. Much good may it do you. Much good has it ever done you.
There are many things from which I might have deserved good, but which I have not profited, I dare say, Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I have always thought of Christmas time, when it came around, apart from the veteran due to its sacred name and origin, if anything became of it, be part of that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, when men and women seem by one consent to open their shut up hearts freely, and to think of people below them as if they are really fellow passengers to the grave, and not another race of creatures bound to other journeys. And therefore, uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe that it has done me good, and it will do me good. And I say, God bless it.
Let me hear another sound from you, and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir. I wonder you don't go into Parliament.
Don't be angry, Uncle. Oh, come on. Dine with us tomorrow.
I'll see you in blazes first.
But why? Why?
Why did you get married?
Oh, because I fell in love.
Because you fell in love? Oh, the only thing in this world more ridiculous than a Merry Christmas. Good afternoon.
Nay, Uncle, but you never came to see me before that happened. Why give it as a reason for not coming now?
Good afternoon.
I want nothing from you. I ask nothing of you. Why can't we be friends?
Good afternoon.
I am sorry, with all my heart, to find you so resolute. We have never had any quarrel to which I have been a party, but I have made my trial and homage of Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. So, Merry Christmas, Uncle!
Good afternoon. I think my script has a stutter.
Merry Christmas! The same to you, and many of them.
There's another fellow, my clerk, with 15 shillings a week, and a wife and family, talking about a Merry Christmas. Oh, I'll retire to the lunatic asylum.
Mr. Scrooge and Marley's, I believe. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley?
Mr. Marley has been dead these 7 years. He died 7 years ago this very night.
We have no doubt his liberality is well represented by his surviving partner. At this festival season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, it is more than usually desirable that we should make some slight provisions for the poor and destitute, who suffer greatly at this present time. Many thousands are in the want of common necessities. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir.
Are there no prisons?
Plenty of prisons.
And the union workhouses, are they still in operation?
They are. I wish I could say that they were not.
The treadmill and the poor law are in full vigor then?
Both are very busy, sir.
Oh, I was afraid, from what you said at first, that something had occurred to stop them in their useful course. I'm very glad to hear it.
Under the impression that they scarcely furnish Christian cheer of mind or body to the multitude, a few of us are endeavoring to raise a fund to buy the poor some meat and drink and means of warmth. We chose this time of year because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for?
Nothing.
Oh, do you wish to be anonymous?
What I want is to be left alone. Since you ask me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas, and I can't afford to make idle people merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. They cost enough, and those who are badly off must go there.
Many can't go there, and many would rather die.
If they had rather die, they had better do it and decrease the surplus population. Besides, excuse me, I don't know that.
But you might know it.
It's not my business. It's enough for a man to understand his own business and not interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, gentlemen.
Oh, it is useless. We might as well withdraw.
God bless ye, merry gentlemen. May nothing you dismay.
Oh, be gone! I'll have none of your carols here. Oh, I suppose you want all day tomorrow off, I suppose.
If it's quite convenient, sir.
It's not convenient, and it's not fair. If I was to swap half a crown for it, you'd think yourself ill-used, I'll be bound. Oh, and yet you don't think me ill-used when I pay a day's wages for no work.
Well, egad, it only happens once a year, sir.
A poor excuse for picking the man pocket every 25th of December. But I suppose you must have the whole day. Be here all the earlier next morning.
I will, sir, you old skinflint. If I had my way, I'd give you Christmas. I'd give it you all this way. Now for a slide on old Cornhill at the end of the lane, boys, 20 times in honor of Christmas Eve, and then for coming downtown as hard as I can belt. Ha ha!
Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in the usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book, went home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to his deceased partner. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew its every stone, was faint to grope with his hands. The fog and frost so hung about the black old gateways of the house that it seemed as if the genius of the weather sat in mournful meditation on the threshold. Now, it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocker on the door, except that it was very large. And then let any man explain to me, if he can, how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker, without its undergoing any intermediate process or change, not a knocker, but Marley's face. Marley's face. It was not impenetrable shadow, as the other objects of the yard were, but had a dismal light about it, like a bad lobster in a dark cellar. It was not angry or ferocious, but looked at Scrooge as Marley used to look, with ghostly spectacles turned up on its ghostly forehead. The hair was curiously stirred, as if by breath or hot air, and though the eyes were wide open, they were perfectly motionless. That and its livid color made it horrific, but its horrible seemed to be in the spite of the face and beyond its control, rather than in part of its own expression. As Scrooge's looks fixed on this phenomenon, it was a knocker again. Oh, pooh, pooh! Marley's been dead 7 years tonight. Impossible. Still, nobody under the table, nobody under the couch, nobody in the closet, nobody nowhere. Oh, humbug. One or two stanzas of Christmas carols can be heard from outside, at the close of which a general ringing of bell ensues, succeeded by clinking noise of chains. Marley's ghost enters covered in chains, cash boxes, keys, padlocks, ledgers, deeds, purposes, and more. His hair is twisted upright to represent horns, and is bandaged around his jaw. It's still humbug. I won't believe it. How now? What do you want with me?
Much.
Who are you?
Ask me who I was.
Who were you then? You're particular for a shade.
In life, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. Not that it matters.
Can you sit down?
I can.
Do it then.
You don't believe in me.
I don't.
What evidence do you require of my reality beyond that of your senses?
I don't know.
Why do you doubt your senses?
because a little thing affects them. A slight disorder of the stomach makes them cheat. You may be an undigested bit of beef, a pot of mustard, a cream of cheese, a fragment of an underdone potato. There's more of grave than gravy about you, whatever you are. You see this toothpick? I do. You're not looking at it. But I see it notwithstanding. Well, I have but to swallow this, and be for the rest of my days persecuted by a legion of goblins, all of my own creation. Humbug, I tell you, humbug! The ghost of Marley rattles his chains and takes off the bandage of his jaw, making his jaw drop. Mercy! Dreadful apparition! Why do you trouble me? Man of the worldly mind, do you believe in me or not? I do, I must, but why do spirits walk the earth, and why do they come to me? It is required of every man that the spirit within him should walk abroad among his fellow men and travel far and wide. And if the spirit goes not forth in life, it is condemned to do so after death. It is doomed to wander the world, oh, woe is me, and witness that what it cannot share, but might have shared in earth, turn to happiness. Are you fettered? Tell me why. I wear the chain I forged in life. I make it link by link and yard by yard. I gird it on my own free will, and of my own free will I wore it. It is patterned strange to you, or would you have known the weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself? It was full and heavy as long as is 7 years ago. You have labored on it since. It is a ponderous chain. Oh, Jacob, Jacob Marley, tell me more. Speak comfort to me, Jacob. I have none to give. It comes from other regions, Ebenezer Scrooge, and is conveyed by other ministers to other lands of men. Nor can I tell you what I would. A very little more is all that is permitted of me. I cannot rest. I cannot stay. I cannot linger anywhere. My spirit never walked beyond our counting house. Mark me. In life, my spirit never roved beyond the narrow limits of the money-changing hole. A weary journey lies before me. Not that it matters. You must have been very slow about it, Jacob. Slow? 7 years dead and traveling all the time. The old time. No rest, no peace. Insistent tortures of remorse. You travel fast? On the wings of the wind. You might have gotten over a great quantity of ground in 7 years, Jacob. Oh, captive, bound, and double ironed, not to know that age of insistent labor by immortal creatures, for this earth must pass into eternity before the good of which it is susceptible is all developed, not to know that any Christian spirit working kindly in its little sphere, whatever it may be, will find its mortal life too short for its vast means of usefulness. Not to know of no space of regret can make amends for one's opportunity missed. Yet such was I. Oh, such was I. But you were always such a good businessman, Jacob. Business. Mankind was my business. The common welfare was my business. Charity, mercy, forbearance, and benevolence were all my business. The dealings of my trade were but a drop of water in the comprehensive ocean of my business. At this time of the rolling year I suffer most. Why did I walk through crowds of fellow beings with my eyes turned down, and never raise them to that blessed star which led the wise men to a poor abode? Were there no poor houses to which its light would have conducted me? Hear me, my time is nearly gone. I will, but don't be hard on me. Don't be flowery, Jacob, pray. How is it that I appear before you in a shape that you can see? I may not tell. I have sat invisible beside you many and many a day, that there is no light part of my penance, and here tonight to warn you that you may yet have a chance of hope escaping fate, a chance of hope of my procuring Ebenezer.
Oh, you are always a good friend to me. Thank you.
You will be haunted by 3 spirits.
Is that the chance and hope you mentioned, Jacob?
It is.
I think I'd rather not.
Without their visits, you cannot hope to shun the path I tread. Expect the first tomorrow when the bell tolls 1.
Couldn't I take them all at once and have it done over, Jacob?
Expect the second on the next night at the same hour, the third on the night following, when the last stroke of 12 has ceased to vibrate. Look to see me no more, and look what, for your own sake, you remember what has passed between us. Thank you for joining us. That was the first stave of Christmas Carol. Please come back next week for stave 2. If you like what you heard, please consider liking, commenting, and subscribing.